John the boxer. John had always been a scrawny kid. He was the one who was always picked last for any sports team at school, and he was constantly bullied by the bigger boys. He had always dreamed of being strong and tough, of standing up to his tormentors and fighting back. He found his salvation in boxing. The gym was a dimly lit, gritty space filled with the smell of sweat and leather. Men of all ages were punching bags and shadowboxing in various corners of the room. In the center of the gym was a boxing ring, and John couldn't take his eyes off it. "Hey, kid, you lost?" A gruff voice broke through John's reverie, and he turned to see a burly man with a shaved head and a thick beard approaching him. "No, I'm just checking this place out," John said, feeling a bit intimidated by the man's size. "Well, if you're interested in boxing, you've come to the right place," the man said with a grin. "My name's Joe. What's yours?" "John," he replied, feeling a bit more at ease. "Nice to meet you, John. You look like you've got potential. Wanna give it a try?" John hesitated for a moment, but the idea of finally being able to stand up for himself was too tempting to resist. Sure, why not?" Joe led John over to a corner of the gym where there was a bag hanging from the ceiling. "All right, kid, let's see what you've got. Hit that bag like it's your worst enemy." John put on a pair of gloves and approached the bag. He threw a tentative punch, but it lacked power and precision. Joe shook his head. "Come on, kid. You gotta hit it harder than that. Pretend it's the bully who's making your life miserable." John took a deep breath and tried again. This time, he put more force behind the punch, and the bag swung wildly. Joe nodded in approval. "That's it, kid. Keep going." John spent the next hour hitting the bag with all his might. He felt his muscles burning and his heart pounding in his chest, but he didn't stop. For the first time in his life, he felt powerful and in control. As he left the gym that day, John knew that he had found his calling. He was going to be a boxer. Over the next few months, John threw himself into his training. He was at the gym every day, practicing his punches, footwork, and conditioning. He sparred with other boxers, taking hits and learning how to dodge them. He even hired a personal trainer to help him build up his strength and endurance. It wasn't easy. There were days when John felt like giving up, when he doubted whether he had what it took to be a real boxer. But he kept pushing himself, knowing that he had to prove something to himself and to the world. One day, as John was finishing up his workout, he heard a voice calling his name. "Hey, John, You looking for a fight? John turned to see a tall, muscular man standing in the doorway. He had a cocky grin on his face and a glint in his eye that made John's blood run cold. "Who are you?" John asked warily. "The name's Mike," the man said, stepping forward. "I hear you're the new kid in town." John stepped into the ring with Mike, feeling a mix of fear and determination. The crowd was cheering, and John knew that he couldn't let them down. He raised his fists and prepared to fight. Mike came at him with a flurry of punches, but John was ready. He dodged and weaved, countering with his own strikes. The two boxers traded blows for what felt like an eternity, neither one giving an inch. But John had something that Mike didn't: heart. He had fought too hard and too long to let this opportunity slip away. So he dug deep and found the strength to keep going, even when he was exhausted. In the final round, John landed a powerful right hook that sent Mike to the canvas. The crowd erupted into cheers as the referee counted to 10, and John was declared the winner. Tears streamed down John's face as he looked out at the sea of smiling faces. He had done it. He had become a real boxer, and he had won his first fight. Joe came over and hugged him, beaming with pride. "You did it, kid," he said. "You're a real fighter now." John looked up at Joe and smiled. "Thanks, Joe. I couldn't have done it without you." As he walked out of the ring, John felt a sense of accomplishment that he had never felt before. He had proven to himself and to the world that he was strong, resilient, and capable of achieving anything he set his mind to. The end.